Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. A warm welcome also to everyone joining us from across the Mediterranean region and beyond. My name is Ermelinda Canucci, and I'm an AI governance expert based in Germany and the co-chair of the European EuroMedAI. It is a privilege to convene this gathering at such pivotal moment for our shared future. We commemorate today 30 years of the Barcelona process, which events sit at a decisive moment for the Euro-Mediterranean cooperation. The Union for the Mediterranean Regional Forum, held under the banner Together for a Stronger Euro-Mediterranean Partnership, coincides with the EU Pact for the Mediterranean, which is already endorsed by the Council of the European Union on 20 November 2025, and it has its official launching already tomorrow in Barcelona on the 28th of November. This convergence underscores a shared regional commitment, building more integrated and inclusive economies, strengthening trusted digital infrastructure, and expanding legal pathways for talent mobility. Today's dialogue, Financing Mediterranean AI Capacity, Talent, Data, and Compute, advances that agenda by focusing on the practical architecture required to narrow the regional AI divide. This event is a continuation of our previous UNGA 80 side event, EuroMed AI, putting a floor under the AI divide in the South Mediterranean. But this time we shift from diagnosing disparities among countries to shaping concrete financing pathways that can lift AI readiness across the common Mediterranean space. We have two panels which will bring together leading practitioners and thinkers across policy, governance, innovation, and capacity building. Both panels will be moderated perfectly by Mohamed Alouan, also the chair of the EuroMedAI, and Fateh Matheb. So without no further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mo to continue with the panel introductions.
Thank you, Linda. Always a pleasure working with you on EuroMedAI. Let's go directly to the first panel, which will feature three speakers: Sylvia Vaci from ITU, Mohammed Qais Dahawi from UNDP working in digital and AI innovation, and finally Soraya Quadri from the Open University in the UK. So we will start with Sylvia. You ready?
Yes.
I assume you have the presentation from your side.
Yes.
Okay.
I can go ahead. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. So just give me a second. I will share my screen with you.
No, it's good.
Yeah, you can see my slides, okay? Perfect.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for the invitation to EuroMed. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, wherever you may be. My name is Sylvia, and as Mohammed said, I am working for ITU AI for Good program, and I am leading an initiative called the AI Skills Coalition. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second as well. But today I am not here speaking as an expert on the Mediterranean, but I'm here as someone who has a very strong focus on skills and how relevant AI skills can be built, governed, financed, and scaled, and how can these be applied to the Mediterranean region. So this is a perspective I wish to share with you today. So hopefully a lot of you will be familiar with this, but we do have a pact for the Mediterranean, which was recently issued. And within the pact, there are several pillars, one of the key ones being around people. So the people pillar really is touching upon skills, but across the pact, we see many other sectors that require support. So, for example, agriculture, energy, mobility, disaster preparedness, and whatnot. And then related to all of these industries are many different ambitions and challenges to overcome. And I would say that all of these ambitions are facing one common obstacle, which is how can we deliver results? My idea is that we need people with the right skills. And the perspective that I'm bringing to you today is that more and more these skills depend on people's ability to use AI and data meaningfully in this day and age. So AI is not just one of the topics, but is really changing every topic. And the challenge is how do we prepare our workforces to really be prepared to overcome the new challenges ahead of us. So this is one of the reasons why we launched our AI Skills Coalition at ITU. So let me tell you about what that is, and then I will go into how we can take lessons from this coalition and how can this journey help us create efficient AI ecosystem and how can we possibly apply it to the region. So ITU, for those not familiar with it, is the International Telecommunications Union. It is the United Nations specialized agency for telecommunication. And within this agency sits AI for Good, which is a multi-stakeholder platform for AI, multi-stakeholder dialogue, AI governance, AI standards, and AI capacity building. So as part of the capacity building pillar, we have launched the AI Skills Coalition, which is an initiative bringing together over 60 partners now from all sectors who have a common goal to democratize AI learning and bridging the global AI skills gap. So we do this by empowering everyone across the board with AI skills and AI basic literacy. And we also aim to focus primarily on disadvantaged regions and socioeconomic groups. This is just a very, very quick snapshot of who our partners are. I think many of you might recognize a lot of names and logos here. As you can see, we have a very big diversity of partners with UN members, but also private sector, civil society and government entities, as well as academia and NGOs. So it's really, really diverse, and we all have the same common mission. So the coalition was only launched at the beginning of this year, and immediately we became aware of a series of challenges which came with our objective of how do we bring AI skills to everyone. So just very quickly on those challenges, I think one of the things we know about AI is that this technology has a very, very fast pace of change. And so the issue with that is that many different institutions trying to sort of cope with that and provide capacity building efforts move at different speeds, and they experiment in many different ways. And this leads to fragmentation, and all these efforts are kind of isolated. And then the second one is a lack of quality standards, which is interconnected with the first problem, where as many training programs emerge very quickly, we don't have agreed quality benchmarks across the board. So without these standards, which is an issue that ITU very closely focus on, it is very hard to invest and also to do so at scale. And even very strong programs lack that sort of credibility when there's no, let's say, frameworks to measure them against. Then we have an issue with accessibility. We know that billions of people still remain offline, and also accessibility of skills, not just connection, is concentrated within specific regions or even cities within those regions. And so most learners just simply don't have access to these skills. This was one of the foundations of why we created the coalition, but at the same time, how do we overcome this accessibility problem? And then finally, the lack of impact, which stems from all of these other challenges. So it's all of these are closely interconnected, as you can see. Because we may very well have the tools, but when skills are invisible, it's very difficult to measure their impact. It's difficult to match them with jobs, funding pathways, etc. So we have, maybe yet to find a way to make the impact of capacity building very evident. So throughout this first year since we've launched the coalition, unfortunately, due to time, I won't have time to tell you about all the great projects that we're launching, but I'm happy to discuss it with anyone who may be interested. Please reach out to me if you wish. But I would say that we have observed some common lessons across all of the projects that we've launched. So like I was saying before, isolation of training efforts is a big issue. And so what we have found is that standalone courses and pilot projects, they kind of tend to disappear. Maybe they have some seed funding, but after that funding disappears, so does, the training itself. And so it's hard to concretize the impact of that. So what is important and what will last is when AI skills are clearly embedded into education system, into workforce strategies, and so on. Then second is, of course, there's a lack of resources and overwhelmingly for any actor, it's very difficult to train directly every single person who's in need of AI skills. And so we need to all become multipliers. So teachers, educators, any figure that can fulfill this role. The key is to enable them and equip them with the tools to teach AI skills. And so this allows us to really multiply the impact of our efforts when we scale it in this way through training key people who then go on and train others. The third lesson related to misalignment. So the lack of standards also feeds into the misalignments of AI skills with what is actually required for jobs. How do we know what type of AI literacy and AI knowledge is actually needed in different jobs? This is a problem. And so really what we have found is that it's important for us to bring all stakeholders together, especially, so that the industry, let's use this loose term, the employers, whatever sector they are part of, need to provide very clear input and must work with the training designers to define what are the job pathways and what are the skill pathways. And then finally, when it comes to impact and how do we measure impact, we have found that a very effective way to do so is to implement digital credentials. So these are standardized and sort of recognized, and so even something like a small digital badge or a verified certificate, when it is something that lays out a clear set of competencies that have been achieved, can really help with enabling this impact tracking and really making this all more concrete. And by the way, these are not lessons that are specific to AI. They apply to any skills ecosystem. But yeah, so this is what we got from the first year. And so we really do need an ecosystem. And how do we build this ecosystem? So I'm just going to go to the Mediterranean Pact, which I mentioned at the beginning. I'm not going to go over the pact. I'm just taking a few elements of the pact that I think are very interesting for what I'm discussing here. So we already have very strong entry points for an ecosystem approach in the first people pillar of the pact. So, for example, we have a proposal for a Mediterranean university. So this is not an initiative to create a single institution, so a single university, but to connect existing ones that are across the Mediterranean region and across disciplines. And so this is a really, really good because it reflects system thinking, and we can, from here, we can begin to build capacity together instead of isolation. Then we have training and vocational education scaling. So the pact is recognizing that vocational training and also technical education will be essential to economic resilience. And this is important because these TVET systems, they often reach broader population than formal higher education. And so if we strengthen and modernize these pathways, these can become very major drivers for workforce development. And then finally, these are just some examples. It's not everything from the pack, but these are some of the key ideas that came that really capture my attention. Is a med skill tracker. So this is kind of going back to that credentialing system that I was talking about earlier. So it's not just training, but it's the recognition of the skills. So we are tracking them, we are making them visible, and potentially also recognized across borders. And so when skills are recognized, they can support mobility, labor mobility, employability, and even in policy and governance planning. So there is great promise in the pact already, as we can see from these examples. But what can tie everything together? Obviously, what we are observing at ITU is that AI is becoming the connector of all of these skills and all of these industries. So we have from the pact a prescription for we need to organize competencies, but it's not really necessarily specified which competencies should serve as the common layer. So AI should not be a separate sector. But if we treat AI and data literacy as a foundation across all these sectors, then all investments in every sector, energy, agriculture, et cetera, will also become an investment in AI capacity. And so this is really key. We don't need to add another pillar. We need to strengthen the foundation of the pillars. So we don't just need AI courses, like we were saying before. We need an AI ecosystem. If I have just another couple of minutes, I will just maybe go very quickly over some use cases of how AI and AI literacy is really transforming different sectors. So one field is water security and also disaster preparedness. For example, in the Mediterranean, this is very relevant because we see increased pressures from climate change phenomena such as heat waves, droughts, flooding, etc. So these extreme weather events. And the pact does emphasize preparedness and early warning system. And we already have many of these tools that already use data and AI. But we can have as much technology as we want, but if people working in the sector cannot interpret and read this data, it will not be effective to have such tools. And so even basic AI and data literacy directly will determine how effectively our communities in the Mediterranean can prepare for emergencies and protect their resources. Then the pact also focuses quite a bit on clean energy and presents a strong vision for this transition. So things like renewable grids, improve efficiency, smart infrastructure mentioned. Again, energy system, much like water security, are becoming data driven. So same point as before. And I would say very similar principle applies to also the sector of agriculture. The Mediterranean is one of the most climate exposed regions, and so AI is really already being used globally to improve soil analysis, forecasting of crops, and also irrigation planning. So farmers nowadays may not have the competencies to understand and utilize these tools, but imagine how much progress we could achieve if this type of vocational and technical training was integrated for them. And I'm just really looking at the time, so unfortunately, I don't have time to go through over every single one of them, but I think you are getting the idea of what I am saying, hopefully. And so, just concluding by tying everything together and making once again my point that rather than launching isolated projects, isolated ideas, one approach for the Mediterranean could be to explore a Mediterranean AI skills framework. So, not as a new institution, not as a new industry, but as a method that can help existing institution align and scale what they're already doing. So, some elements that could be included in this strategy are a shared AI competency taxonomy, as we saw, very important to agree on a common language, so to speak, of for what are AI related skills. Then we would need train the trainer type of hubs. So instead of training thousands of learners directly, we are focusing on scaling through training of trainers. And so these hubs could sit within existing institution, vocational training centers and whatnot. And then digital credentials. So the med skill tracker could be very well a vehicle for that. And finally, financing logic. So training is only sustainable when it's tied to mobility opportunities and employment, most importantly. So this means we need to be designing funding models using Mediterranean institutions and partnerships that can specifically support AI-related job transition. So I'm going to end here. Thank you very much for listening, and yeah, just passing it over to the moderator.
Thank you, Sylvia, for this insight. I noticed that there are some key, like, as you would describe them, a good lesson that can be applied in the context of Mediterranean, especially with the Mediterranean University, and how we can use AI across all the key sectors that it are identified among the Mediterranean countries. Thank you for this excellent presentation. We will continue the conversation in the breakout rooms afterwards. But now we can go to the next speaker, Mohammed. Would you like to share the screen from your side, I would assume?
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Yes, I will share it on my side. Give me 1 second.
Sure, take your time. Mohammed is working in the AI and Digital Hub at the UNDP. Let's discover this program and what are you guys are offering for the Mediterranean. Thank you.
Yes, you guys can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of this very important conversation. So, my name is Kais. I'm Tunisian, and I'm actually based at the moment in Nice, France, and I'm working with UNDP, especially the Digital AI and Innovation Hub. So, today I will share some insights from the AI Hub for Sustainable Development, which is a new global initiative launched early this year in partnership with the Italian Ministry of Enterprises and Made in Italy to help us close the AI capacity gap by expanding access to compute, data, talent, and infrastructure. Especially this presentation will focus on how we can engage with innovators across the Mediterranean, but also the African region. And this means actually the future of AI. So let's take a quick glance on our agenda for today. And so this session will follow 5 key points. We will start briefly with a short introduction of the AI Hub for Sustainable Development and explain how it was created, why it was created, and especially why is it a global partnership for local impact. Secondly, we will walk through our flagship programs, the Compute Accelerator and the AI Infrastructure Builder program. Fourthly, we will share insights from innovators, including demand trends, priority sector, etc. And finally, we will conclude with partnership opportunities and a short call to action for those who may want to engage with the AI Hub. So, to understand why these programs exist, we first must look at the challenges and especially the opportunities that's shaping today's landscape. So, scaling AI adoption across Africa and the Mediterranean present major challenges. But each challenge is also an opportunity for a partnership. Looking just at the number, firstly, only 5% of African talent has access to compute. And they need compute to build, to train, and to test AI. And only 1% has access to on-premises compute facility. So all of these are several limits to innovation, but it also shows where we can invest and where partnership can accelerate. Secondly, cloud adoption. This is relatively, I would say, almost extremely low. We're talking about 15% compared to the 71% in Europe. At the same time, demand for sovereign and cloud solution is rising extremely quickly. So at the end, if we look at the numbers, Africa at the moment is representing 2.5% of the global AI market. And it's a small share, to be honest, but one that is expected to grow significantly as infrastructure, talent, and investment expand. So the numbers are illustrating a clear message for us. And us at the AI Hub, at UNDP, we see that there is immense talent, immense demand, but insufficient infrastructure. And this is where we think collaboration can make the difference. And this is why precisely the AI Hub for Sustainable Development was created. So the AI Hub for Sustainable Development was launched as co-creation space, a place where any government, private sector, researcher, startup, or even technical partner can come together to design the next generation of AI ecosystem. Our idea is very simple, but very ambitious. AI cannot build itself, and AI cannot be built by only one single actor. It requires shared infrastructure, shared knowledge, but also shared responsibilities. The AI Hub is therefore as a living partnership framework. It brings through diverse domains such as data infrastructure, compute and cloud service, undersea cables and connectivity, renewable energy, space and data collection, but also recently critical minerals. So what is important is that all of these elements are converging to create the foundation needed for sovereign and sustainable AI. We are working across multiple regions, including Algeria, Egypt, Ethiopia, going to Mozambique, Morocco, Tunisia. But at the end, our approach is global. The Mediterranean space, the African continent, and the European partners all are playing a central role to shape this ecosystem. So, to understand where the impact can be the strongest, we should look at the priority sectors and especially both vertical and horizontal. Our work at the moment is organized around two complementary dimensions. Vertical sectors where AI can have immediate real-world impact. The verticals include, for example, agriculture, energy, healthcare, education, and water. And these sectors are where AI are delivering a direct value. For example, improving crop yields or trying to strengthen energy grids, enhancing diagnostics, or as simple as it sounds, expanding access to education. But the horizontal are equally as important. Why? Because they include the infrastructure, the human talent, the shared compute models, and also multilingual AI and force AI. And a simple example is a country may have the strongest AI pilot in agriculture or in health, but without compute, connectivity, data sets, and skilled talent, these pilots cannot expand into national or even regional systems. So this is why the AI Hub, we're looking at both immediate needs. And now that the context is actually clear, I will walk you through how the Compute Accelerator and both of our flagship programs come into place. So in June 2025, we launched the first wave of core initiative that together are building the backbone of the AI Hub ecosystem. The first one is the AI Hub platform, also called Ask Hub, which is acting as a global gateway for anyone, governments, enterprises, researchers, innovators that want to engage with Africa and to advance AI. It's not just an actual website, it's a mechanism for visibility, matchmaking, and structured onboarding. Secondly, we have AGCC, which is the Africa Green Compute Coalition, which is one of our flagship initiatives. It's bringing partners from the G7, Italy, Kenya, Alliance for AI, and other partners who want to expand access to AI in a scalable, affordable, and especially sustainable way. The focus here is trying to pair demand with supply. And after that, we have the Compute Accelerator and the AI Infrastructure Builder program that I will go more into detail in the following slides. So together, these four pillars are creating both immediate support, but also long-term sovereignty. So let's look specifically at the Compute Accelerator program. And for us, the Compute Accelerator program is a 6-month program designed to accelerate AI innovation by bridging access to compute resources. And for the moment, it's supporting two main groups. The Compute Ready venture, we are talking about 20 ventures which have already demonstrated traction, have a clear use, and especially have a technical maturity. And on the second hand, we have 100 compute curious innovators who are still in their early journey, but are showing strong potential based on the problem that they are actually addressing. And both participants are gaining three forms of support. Firstly, compute infrastructure, including GPU access from our partners such as Chineka, Microsoft, AWS. Second, technical mentorship, which is essential for optimization, training, or even deployment. And most importantly, international partnership. We want to connect these innovators to markets, to research institutions, to policy counterpart. And while the Compute Accelerator is supporting these innovators, on the other hand, the AI Infrastructure Builder is focusing on building the system that's behind them. So the AI Infrastructure Builder program has a very unique design. We want to support innovators that are working on the fundamental layers of AI, everything related to data centers, to cloud compute, connectivity models, payment, and also energy system. For the moment, the scope is very ambitious. We're looking at multi-country scaling and especially long-term ecosystem growth. The program is providing four types of support: business planning and regulatory guidance, which is extremely crucial because many of these infrastructure builders are operating at the intersection of technology, regulation, and energy. Government facilitation and development finance institution facilitation across the 14 priority countries where we're working with. And this means that innovators can engage not only with ministries, but development finance institution to unlock any type of investment. After we have partnership with leading techs and infrastructure, giving innovators access to global expertise and investment engagement. So this program lays the foundation of AI, ensuring that these infrastructures are needed to be built today, but not in 10 years. Now that we have covered how the programs operate, we want to look at the demand coming from the innovators themselves. And one of the strongest signals that we've seen is we received a lot of application from the Compute and Talent Accelerator, but also the AI Infrastructure Builder. And what is telling us right now is there is a rapid growing ecosystem of innovators who are not only building AI solution, but they're attempting to build the infrastructure behind them. And the breakdown is very revealing. We're looking at 40 universities, researchers, nearly 300 founders and entrepreneurs, 26 SMEs, and 12 large enterprises. And when we look at the sector where the demand is the strongest, we can also see a very clear pattern. And I would like to go more into details into this. And here we can see the priority sectors, and we see two sides of demand: what the innovators want to build and what the infrastructure innovators are trying to enable. On the left, we can see that the compute and talent is heavily concentrated in energy and climate, agriculture, health, education, and especially a small share in cross-cutting fields like fintech and mobility. On the right, we can see the infrastructure that's mirroring the exact same thing. Energy and climate very dominant, followed by connectivity, cloud compute, data platform, and especially sovereign cloud system. And this alignment is very important because it means that we have innovators that are building AI application, innovators that are building compute, and infrastructure that are reinforcing themselves, which at the end, it means it's a win-win situation for both of them. This convergence is very important for African innovators. And from this pool of applicants, we selected a remarkable group of finalists. And from the 100 of application, we shortlisted 20 compute-ready ventures, 100 compute-curious innovators, and 10 infrastructure builders. And we see amazing innovators such as Horus Lab, Chestify AI, AI Gridsoul, but also working on healthcare diagnostic, or for example, building satellite-linked environment intelligence, but also trying to advance compute energy system. So as we can also see, we also have partners that are working with us, which are compute partners. Chineka, which is providing 1.5 million GPU hours, AWS offering 1 million in cloud compute, and Microsoft up to 150,000 per innovators. Now that we saw this together, let's see what this means for the global partnership and how they can engage. At the end, we are looking for structured opportunities for collaboration between innovators, but also global partners. And we want to highlight several aspects that we have top innovators that are addressing big gaps in energy, but also working on edge compute, hybrid cloud, and their biggest plan is to scale across multiple countries. But we want to highlight the opportunities they can also participate in, for example, space and AI ecosystem, which is linking Mediterranean and European aerospatial capabilities with African institutions on satellite data and climate intelligence. So this brings us to the last and final message, and I think we're close to the end. It's that AI sovereignty must be built together. And AI sovereignty is not something that one country or one region can build it alone. It requires, as we said, shared investment, shared infrastructure, and shared talent pipeline. And by investing together across Africa, the Mediterranean, the African continent, we can build AI ecosystems that are resilient, green, and inclusive. And this is the mission of the AI Hub. I will close it with a final thank you. And if you have any question or you want to explore any type of partnership, feel free to contact us at this email. And thank you so much for your attention. And back to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, dear Mohammed, for this presentation. What an amazing program that you guys have at UNDP. I personally met with some of your beneficiary. It's Deep Leaf. It's a Moroccan startup. I met their team back in Tunisia. Amazing job. I see that there is a share thing that can be adopted or replicated with the pact as it's been introduced tomorrow. Thank you, Mohammed, and let's go directly to Soraya.
Yes. Is it okay if you share my slides from your side, if you don't mind?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, because I tried to share them and it's giving me an error message. I'm not sure why. As you do that, I must say that I was better. Yeah, thank you very much. I can see them. Yeah. So if you can put that on full screen, that would help. And if you,
It is full screen, right?
oh no, it's just that it's full screen, but we have your picture. We have you, the camera output on the slide. So I guess,
Okay. Voila, I'm gone.
oh, okay, yeah, it's gone, but yeah, say hello. No,
Okay.
okay. Good,
Okay.
good, good. Thank you very much, Mohammed, and thanks both to Sylvia and Kais. Fantastic. Actually, when I was putting together this slide, I was really worried that there will be a lot of overlap between what I'll be saying and what the previous or the presenters that will come after me will say. But it's yeah, I'm not that stressed because although there is a lot of overlap, I'm looking at things from a completely different perspective. So, I mean, linking to Sylvia's presentation, I think I kind of partly agree pretty much with what she said, but I'm so much into the critical engagement with AI rather than the plain AI literacy packages that we see everywhere. But I'll say a little bit about that, and also following on from Kai's presentation, I think it's all great, etc. But then should also, I guess, consider the ROI aspects of that, and obviously. Yeah, whether the AI bubble will or will not burst is something that we may discuss later. Anyway, so my name is Soraya Quadri. I am senior lecturer in the School of Computing and Communication in the Open University in the United Kingdom. The Mediterranean is where I spent all of my childhood. I'm from Algeria, the north part of Algeria. We have the one of the largest Mediterranean coasts, and I do work a lot with universities, mainly in the Mediterranean region. So in this talk, I'm going to talk about the ROI challenge of AI, because there are plenty of startups spreading AI agents pretty much everywhere. And the ROI aspect of that is something that is being questioned right now. And also I will try to frame that within the critical AI literacy shortage that we have right now, and whether there's anything we can do to bridge the critical AI literacy divide. If you move to the next slide, I will just start by a little bit of context. So, I mean, even though, I mean, we hear about AI hundreds of times a day, depending on what we do with it, there is, according to the recent McKinsey 2025 report, there is really an issue with what's happening with those AI pilots and projects that are being piloted. So it looks like only 20% or maybe less than 20% of the AI pilots kind of successfully end up being scaled up to full deployment with positive ROI, because I mean, all what we do is to make the ROI positive. So this leaves more than 80% of the initiatives struggling to deliver value, despite the use of compute and the use of human power and the workforce and the scaling of the workforce, etc. There's also some unmet financial expectations. According to the Gartner 2025 report, more than 40% of the agentic AI projects that are now kind of the center of the word may be cancelled by end 2027 due to obviously the cost, the unclear business value, and the inadequate risk controls that ties in very nicely with the lack of skilled AI. I would say. Yeah, I mean, skilled AI talent, but it's not only about the talents. I mean, the average Joe, I guess, should be skilled enough to engage with AI. And the root causes are obviously identified as obviously the shortage of skilled talent, but also the unclear business cases. It's just the rush of doing AI without even knowing whether AI is the solution or not. I see this a lot with my students where, I mean, PhD student, I sit together with them first days and start talking about AI. I mean, without even knowing what they are doing. So AI is seen as a tool, is seen that there is that FOMO effect of the fear of missing out. I need to use AI because pretty much everyone is using it without a real let's say, business case in businesses or real reason how to use it. So I think I'm trying to go back to the basics here. And if you can move to the next slide. I don't know, Mohammed, can you move to the next slide? Oh, I guess he left. Okay, yeah. And if we break down a little bit by industry, these AI project success rates, I mean, you can see at the top technology-related industries, like the ones that Kais was presenting right now in the hub, would certainly be, I guess, have certain level of success. As we can see, 45% at least of the technology-related project are successful, and this is mainly because those people who work in technology know what they're doing and see value in what they're doing. And you see at the bottom, we have the retail and the public sector, where there's less than 15% success rate. And so not only there's a variety across the sectors, but it also reflects the level of literacy of those people involved in those sectors, hence the need to really invest and both our time and effort and money on trying to bridge the gap across sectors. So if you move to the next slide, Mohammed, thank you. So obviously, I mean, AI works with data. And so I guess whoever talks about AI literacy should also talk about data literacy, which is a big issue both in, I mean, across sectors, independently of how technical people involved are with. So far, most of the organizations lack integrated data platforms. So it's like information is trapped in departmental systems, it works, it is completely stored in incompatible format, and there are obviously inadequate quality controls, which unfortunately may lead to huge ethical issues. There is obviously the misaligned expectations in the sense that, I mean, we overestimate the AI capability, especially by people who are not AI literate. We overestimate whilst underestimating the essential change in the management when we do any AI system. So as a result, we obviously need training programs, and we need to redesign the processes that are required for the successful adoption of AI system. There's also a critical shortage in talent, as there's a big issue in hiring the right people for the right job, whether it's cross-Mediterranean or even in the rest of Europe or the rest of the world. It takes usually, I mean, depending on where you sit, but even in the US or in the UK, it takes on average 40 to 45 days for big companies to find the right person to do AI-related roles. And obviously, something that is very close to my heart, which is, I mean, and I know that is one of the key barriers, but it would be also one of the key enablers, which is the ethical and the ethical risk of such systems, and whether we are training, or we are trained enough and open enough to discuss those issues and to embed them into the mindset of anyone involved, because these would be the key the key triggers for a better ROI. Hopefully, if you move to the next slide. Based on this little analysis that I presented in the previous slide, obviously, I mean, this is all related to AI literacy, and the higher project success rates are tied to the higher levels of AI literacy rates in the companies. So it drives the success of the AI implementations of project. So it's not about making an AI system work, but when you have a workforce that is really AI literate at different level, there would be a much higher success rate and hopefully sustainability. And also it makes things, it reduces the time to value to achieve value, where many companies with AI literate workforces will deploy solutions faster, reducing the time frames of trying to solve, maybe sometimes it's minor issues. I mean, I work with the small businesses I do a consultancy for AI governance, and most of the time, I mean, just the struggle with the data, the basics of data literacy are big hinder. So by AI literacy, I mean both the data literacy, but also the critical engagement with AI to avoid misuse, but also mistrust as well, because people with lower levels of AI literacy may overtrust or may mistrust AI in general. And as a result, and I have seen projects being abandoned simply because the critical workforce in the startup or in the companies trying to address issues through AI had a issue with trust on what was deployed, and that was related to their lack of literacy on certain things. So if you move to the next slide, obviously, I mean, in the Mediterranean, we know that, I mean, not only there is, I mean, independently of AI completely, there is a big digital divide within the different Mediterranean countries, but also within the countries themselves. I mean, I come from Algeria, and I guess it's the same in Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, and or Egypt, maybe slightly less Egypt, where the digital divide between the north and the south is is huge in terms of connectivity, access to compute, access to even devices, and let alone the AI divide that comes on top of that, which is, I mean, really understanding the concepts, the technicals, and leveraging the skills, etc. So the challenge is compound. And there's also the gender divide, obviously, and the cultural divide in certain South Mediterranean countries that makes the whole challenge a compound of many aspects rather than one thing to address. And that's why I think, based on Sylvia's intervention early, as much as I agree with the centralized unit to have like a Mediterranean hub, etc., I'm also very fond of the empowering the different communities and cultural groups and religious groups and all that to do their part of the job, as well as having a centralized unit. If you move to the next step, I will hopefully say how to do that. Oh, yeah. And obviously, there are other systemic challenges, such as the education and the infrastructure gap. I mean, we see that, I mean, universities, I mean, I was just looking at the AI curriculum recently of various universities in the South Mediterranean region, and unfortunately, the curriculum is outdated still on certain parts of the universities, mainly the computing and or communication in general, IT maybe curriculums. The modules they lack AI modules, or if they teach AI, they're not teaching the AI as is now. And also, I mean, there isn't much included in the curriculum in terms of data, let alone ethics and critical engagement with other technology, or whether or critical engagement with AI. So there's also, unfortunately, minimum continuous learning opportunities. So, I mean, countries like Algeria, or I mean, because it's the country where I come from, I know that, I mean, you do the schooling and you do the university, either you do postgrad or you go and work, and it depends where you work. You may or may not have some opportunities to do some continuous learning as you work, which is a big issue. I think, well, Alessandro, they are specific to the Mediterranean, but they are also very global. But I cannot claim that, for example, the outdated curriculum is an issue in the UK, where I teach at university. I know that we do so much into trying to keep our curriculum up to date. There is a huge gender imbalance in the tech sector as well. It is the case in Algeria and in many other South Mediterranean countries. And there's also limited professional certification options, and this is where it links to Sylvia's talk about the necessity to have badged courses or something, some sort of recognition that should hopefully work at least within the Mediterranean basin and help with the mobility, etc. If you move to the next slide, I mean, but also, I mean, there's just one thing, and this links again to Sylvia's presentation. By AI literacy, I mean, you see AI literacy pretty much everywhere, wherever you go, and every single institution or entity understands it differently. For some institutions, being AI literate means knowing how to program. And that is completely different from how I see it. So for me, I mean, it depends. We need at least maybe in the Mediterranean basin, and maybe, I mean, according to Sylvia's, for example, views of having that hub, to at least agree on the definition. So what it is that we mean by AI literacy. Is it understanding the AI fundamentals, or is it the ethical awareness, or the having the right critical evaluation skills, or being able to apply AI? So I guess maybe one of the first challenges, one of the first steps, or maybe able to do all these, one of the first challenges and the first steps, and I'll be happy to work with you, Sylvia, is to agree on a taxonomy of what it is that we that we mean by AI literacy. And if you move to the next step, the next slide, I think it would be the last one. No, it's not the last one. Yeah, and here I just wanted to draw a quick comparison. I know some people may be offended by this and may not like it. It is just a comparison with what we're doing in Saudi Arabia, and the ambitious target of aiming to have 40% of the workforce AI literate by 2030. It would be great to have this. I mean, bearing in mind that we don't have the infrastructure that the Gulf countries have, and in particular Saudi Arabia, we don't have the investment, the government investment, at least willingness in the Mediterranean countries to do that. But at least what I'm trying to say here is we should target, especially our young, I mean, those people in the youth bracket, so under 30s, maybe, especially those not employed, in unemployment, to try and empower them through hopefully, I mean, through certain critical tools to contribute to the economic ecosystem. Hopefully, if you move to the next step, I know, I mean, comparison with Saudi Arabia is not a one-to-one comparison, but just wanted to show maybe that the vision should be maybe an inspiration. So, I mean, as potential policy recommendations, I guess, I mean, it would be great to start by the education system first. So age appropriate AI literacy materials, I mean, whether it's primary school, whether it's secondary, whether reviewing what we offer at universities, and also create all sorts of, mainly open source materials in Arabic, because Arabic or other languages, Berber or other languages that are spoken in the Mediterranean basin, simply because everything in English. And we know that, for example, in Algeria, second language is French, in Tunisia is the same, in Morocco. So language is still a barrier, and there is evidence of it. We need to create continuous professional development opportunities. This is down to obviously, I mean, the professionals, public and private partnerships, where I know that in Algeria there's a big divide between the public sector and the private sector that is overtaken, and the public sector that is still laying behind. So we need at least partnerships with universities would be a good starting point, because although this started now, we're still far away from having a solid partnership. And also, I mean, if we have national committees or Mediterranean committees overlooking all this and making sure that everything is done ethically and that governance is adhered to, that is what I would recommend in terms of high-level policy considerations. If you move to the slide, so yeah, I mean, in order to obviously do all this, we should not see it as something that will cost money, that will drain our resources, etc. We should just see it as something, as a catalyst for economic growth, helps to build the cohesion in our societies, whether it's within the countries or across the countries in the Mediterranean, and more importantly, help us see it as an enabler for us to be digitally sovereign. And as a result, we need collective action. We should not work in silos, but also we should empower people to work in communities locally. And I think I should conclude here, because the last slide, I think did I run out of time? Did I overrun? Okay, yeah, that's fine. I guess they can see they can see, because these are just a recap. If you go straight to the last slide, I just want to finish with this. I mean, this is the takeaway message that I want you to take from my presentation, is AI literacy is not about making everyone programmer. It's about democratizing understanding so diverse stakeholders can participate meaningfully in AI-driven transformation. It's not a luxury, but it's a necessity. Right now, I see it as a necessity to unlock AI's benefit equally across the segment of the society. So hopefully within the Mediterranean countries, but also across the different countries. And I can see there is a question: an effective advantage is the Arabic is common language. Yeah, I mean, Arabic may be one of the languages that we should start with, Alessandro, but also there are also many languages and dialects within the Mediterranean countries that we should maybe consider as well. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Soraya. It's a pleasure knowing that you're Algerian. To be honest, I didn't know at first, but it's good to have people from the south of Mediterranean active in the network. Thank you for this presentation. There are important elements that you mentioned and are highly relevant to the pact. And just to mention something before we move to the second panel, you said that we should have a committee to coordinate the effort on ethical and AI governance. That's why we created the EuroMedAI, is to effectively have this platform to exchange, to interact, and to propose ideas and combine effort from our different hats. We have civil society, we have the university, we have businesses that we should startups that we should have also in our upcoming event. But yeah, thank you, Soraya. So we should move to the second panel, which will be led by Fatih.
Yes.
Over to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, great. So thank you very much. And we've just had excellent presentation of enhancing Mediterranean AI capacity about talent, data, compute. And now it's time for our second panel that it will be moderated by me, Faten Mhadab, a journalist from Tunisia and also PhD student at Sorbonne University based in Paris. And we are joined by outstanding speakers whom I am truly delighted to welcome. And I will begin with a brief introduction of each speaker so everyone can become familiar with their background. We have Khaled Quba, CEO at AT Worthy and AI Digital Governance Architect with 20 years of experience in technology and public policy, including leadership roles at Google and Meta. And also we have Mina Badr, startup ecosystem and innovation expert at Plug and Play Egypt, supporting early stage companies and visibility, partnerships, and growth. We have also Katrin Schneider, policy researcher at Interface, focusing on AI and labor markets, formerly at Mozilla and UNHCR. She holds also a Master of Science in Tech Ethics from the London School Economics. And yes, the London School Economics. And I would like just to thank you for joining us again in this webinar organized by EuroMedAI. And we'll begin with you, Khalid, to explore the topic of compute. But before giving you the floor, a gentle reminder that the presentation time is 10 minutes. So we are all ears and you can start. I don't know if Muhammad will share the presentation or you.
I will share the presentation from my side.
Great, very nice. We are all ears.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon for everyone. My name is Khaled Quba. I am the CEO and founder of Atworthy Technology, which is a startup working on measuring the digital worthiness and AI worthiness of the world. We have been working on digital and then we specialized more in AI recently, and I'm here today to talk to you about the South Mediterranean as we see it from our angle, from the angle of AI worthiness. And all the information I will be sharing are actually pre-released to our project and report that will be released very soon. So I guess there's no need for me to present myself because Faten did this quite well. Thank you, Faten, for that. Everyone who already presented gone through this slide by proving actually we are not talking about the hype, we're talking about concrete things, concrete impact on the infrastructure of economies and states. And there is a risk that we are now trying through our work at Atworthy to highlight, which is trying to help actors, including governments and organizations, to avoid the AI dependency trap and provide everyone the capability to be an actor, be an active member of those who are building the AI. And this is why we came up with this concept that we call AI worthiness. And AI worthiness is the ability of an actor to deploy and govern AI in a way that is safe and sovereign and inclusive for everyone. Unfortunately, the South Mediterranean countries sit in a situation where there is a really structural gap that we will highlight through our presentation today. But before that, let's begin with what's happening at the global level. At the global level, the United Nations, since almost now 3 years or even 4 years, has been in the forefront of governing the AI from a global level. So we had at the very beginning an effort by the High-Level Advisory Board that issued a report, and that led to the creation of what we have seen in 2024 as a materialized in the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact. Those two United Nations instruments are very important for us both as a startup, but every actor who is now doing work on AI governance. Very soon we will have also the Independent Scientific Panel on AI and a UN dialogue on AI governance. Those two institutions are now being formed by the UN. The most important part in all of this is that one core principle, which we believe this is very important to highlight, which is AI must be developed by people for people. This principle actually we took it into our work at Atworthy, and we created an AI worthiness star framework. And this star framework is actually materializing the UN Global Digital Compact Objective 5, which is focusing on 4 pillars. The first one is standard, the second one is talent, the third one is adoption, and the fourth one is resources. So through that 4 pillars, we will be working with you on the some of the indicators that we have found through our work creating the global AI worthiness index, which is an effort that we did for 195 countries member of the United Nations. The Global AI Worthiness Index, as I mentioned, is built into that principle of doing and creating AI by the people for the people. And we have used a methodology that is AI assisted through different AI models. And through that angle of four pillars, we have results that express the score of each country on those 4 pillars, and then a global score that will allow us to understand where those member states are today. The objective is...
Apologies for interrupting. So the presentation is still on the first slide. Do you have the same visual to your computer as well?
I'm seeing that everything is okay. I'm not
And
sure
now
for the
for
rest.
us, we see just the first slide. So if you can maybe turn off the share, and after that you did it again.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you share it or not?
Yes, I'm resharing it now.
Okay.
I don't think it's working.
Yes. Now you can.
Uh,
How about now?
Yes. Please, you can maybe just go ahead to the other slide. Maybe we can see it. Yes. Now we can. Thank you so much.
Okay, so very quickly back to the first slides. As I mentioned, AI is no longer a hype. It's more a concrete set of technologies and uh, models that will be impacting our sector as economies and states. And this is why at Atworthy we created this AI worthiness framework, which is the ability of a country or a stakeholder to deploy and govern AI for a safe and sovereign inclusive manner. As I mentioned, the UN has worked on the AI governance since now 3 years. And the most important part of that work is to ensure that all UN member states agreed on the core principle, which is AI must be developed by people for the people. And with that core principle in mind, we as a startup, we have created our own STAR framework, which is basically translating the UN Global Digital Compact Objective number 5 that state that the UN member state need to enhance international governance of artificial intelligence through those 4 pillars, which we defined them as standards, talents, adoption, and resources. And through that angle, we have been working on finalizing the Global AI Worthiness Index, which is looking at 195 member states of the United Nations. and calculate their score. We have done this work with the model that we built, but also AI-assisted multimodal platform that we are creating as we speak. The results that we have, and we will share a few of them as a pre-release with you, are a set of results that are, I think, important and essential for any policymaker and stakeholder to understand where they are today, which will allow them to make the right decision to improve their digital worthiness and AI worthiness. So the index provide a view on 3 tiers of countries. We defined them the builders, the deployers, and the bystanders. And unfortunately, there is the regional AI worthiness snapshot for the southern Mediterranean countries is somehow focusing on the bystanders, because what we found is that there is one builder, 3 deployers, and almost the majority, which is 6 country in the level of bystanders. This score show that there is a concentration of country in the South Mediterranean that really need a work that is more focusing on improving their capacity to become real deployer, real actively engaged countries, and the deployment and management of AI systems. And when we look at the 4 pillars of the AI worthiness report, we found, for example, that for the standards, there is the same situation where there's a pool of countries that are leading, and then there is a lot of others who are really lagging on how they are engaged globally or regionally on AI governance questions. So even at the national level as well, they are not really deploying or developing any AI governance framework. Some of them are trying to do that, but the difference between the few countries that we have, even the leaders, I would say Egypt, Jordan, Tunisia, and Morocco, they are actually indeed far from the big nations who are really building the AI governance. The second part of the pillars, which is the talent, as actually been shared with the previous panel, there is a big gap when it comes to talent and research in the country. So the sub pillars of this pillar is actually not looking only on the number of students, but also looking at things like AI research funding, a center of excellence, how our countries in the south part of the Mediterranean are doing when it comes to funding research. This is very, very critical for AI. I mean, critical because AI is not only about training students on how to use AI or how to deploy AI models, but also do research that will allow them to really discover maybe new models, new type of scientific breakthrough. So there is this need, I think, from us to focus on the research part even before talking about training people on how to use AI. The third part of our work is focusing on the adoption and public value and how those countries are actually spending and focusing on projects that are either led by the government or by the private sector in a corporation, in a collaboration with the government, that will lead to more adoption at the local level and show the public value for their citizens. The results that we have found is that actually there is very less projects like in such way, and the lack of projects that will show the citizens in the South Mediterranean countries is almost inexistent, and we have a huge need to see examples that will show to our citizens the real value of AI structured projects. The fourth pillar of our work is obviously the resources needed for deploying and growing an AI economy, an AI-based economy, which is the compute and infrastructure. And here we look at the AI-grade compute capacity, data centers and cloud infrastructure, semiconductor ecosystem, connectivity and energy, and cybersecurity and resilience measure. Those are key sub-pillars because it's not for AI, it's not only deploying cloud data centers, but also there is the need of the energy, there is the need of access to semiconductor ecosystem that will allow you to work with AI. And the founding that we have seen in our report is actually showing a big gap between some of the countries, including Morocco and Egypt, and the rest of the countries when it comes to the resources and the cloud and compute capabilities of those countries. So there is really a need as well from a policy making perspective, especially in the countries that are in the bystanders tier, to really focus on building the compute, and we will see together how they should do that. So as a summary of that gap that we shared with you, we believe that the South Mediterranean countries are, I mean, we have few countries that are could be the leaders very soon. I mean, those are the deployers. And then there's maybe a majority of other countries that need a lot of work and need support from other stakeholders like EU and the UN and others to actually improve their ecosystem and improve their investment. So the investment part is important for those bystanders because they will be building their compute and building the need that they have in the collaboration with others. I think the report showed to us that in reality there's a difference between those three tiers where actually countries that are builders are capable enough to maintain a national level of clusters that will allow them to advance in AI. The deployers, I think the easiest way for them to work from a regional perspective and try to connect with each other. Usually there is a way for countries to have interconnectivity between them. It happened at a certain time. Very few example I've seen in the past between example Tunisia and Algeria or Tunisia and Libya, but the rest of the South Mediterranean countries are less and less interconnected between them. The bystanders are
Sorry, just to
really
interrupt, Khalid, you have just 2 minutes to finish
yes. Okay.
finish with the others. Thank you so much.
Perfect. And I will finish by one thought, which is one size fits all is not really working, and it will not work when it comes to AI infrastructure and AI deployment in those countries. This is why our STAR framework and our index try to look at each country, what are the exact needs of that country, and then focus on the need of that country. And this is very important for the next steps. So what is exactly need to be funded in those countries? There is certainly the need of connectivity backbones. Not all the countries are connected to submarine cables. National fiber network at certain countries, including specifically for the bystanders, but also even for the deployers. We have seen very less number of countries that has internet exchange point. Those are very critical infrastructure for the connectivity in countries and also connecting country to country. Internet exchange point are critical for the internet, specifically when you are capable enough to connect between the south side of the Mediterranean and the north side. We need certainly reliable energy. Certainly the need with AI now is increasing. Sometimes in the US we talk about 10 times the need of the current situation. AI-ready data centers, obviously, they're not the same than the data centers that are just hosting your websites or hosting normal data sets. And we need also access to GPUs. Obviously, there is today talk about access to countries to the NVIDIA GPUs. Some of the countries are unfortunately are not capable through maybe geopolitical situation or access to funding to really secure access to this level of GPU. But this is what exactly they need to focus on. Um, how they can pay for that? Obviously, the public investment through the national budget is the most obvious one. If a country would like to lead that effort, but I have seen a lot of development banks, including the World Bank, including African Bank, including the regional banks as well, the European Reconstruction Bank as well. They are facilitating a lot of loans that are focusing on compute facilities. The second option that I see, I think also important for those countries, is to work with the private sector. The hyperscalers, such as AWS or Meta or others, are really looking for opportunities where they actually can bring the data to to the proximity of their users. So working with hyperscalers to have data centers in our side of the South Mediterranean is important. There's unfortunately no one of them in the Maghreb, I would say. So this is very important to maybe find this partnership as a way to pay for compute. The regional instrument is actually cooperation between countries or cooperation between other organizations. And finally, before I close, I would invite you to use the STAR framework and AI Witness Index as a baseline to understand where is your country, where is your organization is today when it comes to AI worthiness. We need to try to connect South Mediterranean actors between each other. And I also want to thank the EuroMedAI because it is actually answering the big need of us as Global South to be involved in the UN and the global AI governance. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Khaled. We thank you as well for your presentation. It's very important, especially when we talk about the South Mediterranean countries and the gap between all the countries here. And your recommendations as well are very strong, and we can do it. So I think the second presentation will be with you, Mena. If you are ready for 10 minutes, and if you are going just to share your screen, or maybe Muhammad.
No, so basically, hi everyone. Thank you, Faten,
Hello.
for the intro, and thank you, Muhammad, for the invite. I'm not going to share like interesting presentations like all of the distinguished speakers before me, but I'm going to take you through what we do at Plug and Play, and I'm very much open if anyone has any questions or wants to connect further. Please, I'll share my LinkedIn in the chat, and then I'll just kickstart now to be able to be done in less than 10 minutes, hopefully.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. So basically, I'm here representing Plug and Play Tech Center, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'll just go very quickly through that. We're one of the most active VCs around the world. We have more than 60 plus offices, and we do basically three things. So we invest out of our family fund in early stage startups. We run accelerator programs. In Africa, we currently have one in Egypt, Cairo, one in Morocco, and the other one just launched in Tunisia. And also we do corporate innovation where we try to connect startups that are innovative with corporates that are looking for innovative solution for them to be able to work together. And I'm just going to go quickly about how our model, our accelerator model is actually designed to make talent sticky. And when I say sticky is we want this talent to like grow right here in the Mediterranean instead of going outside. And what we do is we try to connect our local entrepreneurs with our network of over 500 global partners and investors around the world. And Hi, Shady. Sorry, I just said I'm not going to share any presentations, but please feel free to connect after I'm done. So to continue, in Egypt, I'm just going to give an example. In Egypt, we work with the government, ITIDA, which is the arm of the Ministry of ICT, and the National Bank of Egypt. They're the two main supporters of our accelerator program that we have been running for the past 3 years, and just renewed to also run for upcoming 3 years as well. And with this, we wanted to also have an AI center and enablement platform. This center of excellence is going to be serving as the country's primary hub for multi-sector AI enablement. And it's going to launch in early 2026. And this is going to support startups, corporates, SMEs, and other also in public institutions through technical enablement and AI adoption, corporate engagement, and also sector-focused workshops, roundtables, and regulatory briefings. So the purpose of this AI Center of Excellence is number one, to launch new AI solutions. So basically, we're going to be providing them with the environment expertise and the technical support necessary for them to be able to deploy cutting edge AI applications. The second purpose of this hub is to basically enable also other traditional players, such as corporates, with AI capabilities. So basically, we're trying to support corporates and the public sector institutions to adopt locally developed AI solutions by our startups. And the third purpose is to create a national AI success story. And I'm going to talk about one at the end of the presentation. So the first member of this AI Center of Excellence or hub is actually the National Bank of Egypt, which is it's the second largest bank in Africa. And a recent example was we held like a cybersecurity regulatory workshop with them before and the FRA. And the workshop was to basically clarify cybersecurity compliance requirements and regulatory frameworks. And by the end of this workshop, one of our startups had gone through taking the FRA licensing for EQIC. And this is how we try to support our startups basically through the program. We also, even before the AI enablement platform or the Center of Excellence, we've always wanted to support any startup that goes through our program or as a portfolio company with IT perks, we call it, and plug and play. So just to mention a few, we have our partners such as Amazon Web Services. We have like up to $100K in dollars in cloud credits. We also have Google Cloud Platform up to $25K in credits. Also, NVIDIA up to $100K in GPU compute credits. So this is just to mention a few of many other IT perks that we have for our startups to be able to help them grow. And basically, I just wanted to also tap on the success story that I was going to mention about one of our AI startups. It's called RaidAI. And this example shows how actually local AI talent supported by Plug and Play and the National Bank of Egypt would achieve international validation while also growing in the Mediterranean region. So RaidAI case is that it's an AI platform that detects like deep fakes, and they were introduced to our partner, the National Bank of Egypt, and they provided like crucial financing validations and stuff. And then after a partnership, it led to financing exposure. So actually, the bank financed their travel to a global tech event. It was GITEX. And then during that event, they won the Arab Cybersecurity Solutions competition. And then they were able to compete globally and be exposed to investment to other global players that will help them in their journey. And this is, I think, is one of the success stories I just wanted to highlight as how the work accelerators do helps local talent be globally competitive. I see a lot of texts on the presentation. I'm sorry, I just didn't share any presentation, but I can be able to share with Mo the one that I have after the call, and I'll also be able to share my LinkedIn here if anyone wants to connect after. These are like 7 messages about the presentation. Guys, I'm so sorry again about not presenting anything.
Yeah, because it's very interesting. So that's why all of them
Yes,
ask.
yes.
Yeah, but
I
we
can
are
share
all
it
ears.
with Mo, and then you guys can share it with all of the attendees after, and I'll also just drop my LinkedIn link here, and please feel
And maybe
free.
the link of the plug and play, and
Yes,
yes, you can share them.
yes, I'll do that right now. I just tried to be very quick because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, we still have 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm actually
Yeah,
done.
you can. Okay,
I'll just share the links to the chat.
very nice. Yeah, and you can go ahead if you have also.
The plug and play link as well.
You've done?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. Thank you so much for your presentation, and okay, for your oral presentation. It's very interesting. And now we are going to continue with you, Katrine. If you are already ready, we are here also, and we are all ears.
Perfect. Can you all see my screen?
Okay. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Done.
Okay, and I will also try to go fast because I know it's not so fun listening to 6 people present and not be able to speak yourself. And my kind of esteemed co-panelists have also covered a lot of the things that we've done. So I'm really briefly just going to take you through some of the data that my think tank that I work for, Interface, has collected on some of the labor market dynamics that we're seeing for Mediterranean countries. I think everybody knows there's this global race for talent that hasn't happened yet at the same scale. So you're seeing kind of 5-fold increases in how much people want talent. And what we're seeing as well is it's the first time we're seeing a very international talent pool. So the countries that are leading in AI development have very international labor forces. In the EU, for instance, the entire AI labor force is 33% international versus the typical national labor force is just about 12% international. And what we're seeing as well is that AI capabilities are not just for somebody working at OpenAI, but they're actually looking at public administrators. We're looking at people working in green tech, and we're asking for AI skills to be more broadly applied across a variety of jobs. What we're also seeing in our research is that there's actually a kind of confusion around what we say when we mean AI talent. And so some of the research that we did actually tried to distinguish between the people working at OpenAI who are really deep learning experts who really are capable of developing these systems, the people that are software engineers that are familiar with some of them, but maybe don't apply it in their day-to-day work. And then the people like many of us who are very AI literate, maybe we apply some tools in our work, but we're not building those tools. And what we actually found was that the biggest gaps in the labor market are for the AI literate talent. So those are people in all of these different fields, and then the deep learning experts. And that's where the kind of tension is with the labor market now, is how do you upskill people or ensure that people have the skills to fill those gaps in a variety of different fields. We're also seeing that because there's such a demand for this talent, that there's a lot of mobility. So some of our research has indicated that, 32% of the top AI talent in Switzerland has actually emigrated to other countries. In Russia, that's about a quarter of its talent. And so many of these countries are having equal or higher proportions of foreign talent to domestic talent. So we're really seeing, individuals being able to negotiate at a global scale for where they want to be. And what does this mean for the Mediterranean? Well, it's a lot of things. So what we've seen is that the southern Mediterranean countries are actually massive sources of global talent in AI. And I'm not going to read all of these statistics, and I'm happy to share the presentation with anyone who connects maybe after these sessions. But you can see that countries like Egypt are making up over 3% of the entire AI workforce within the EU. In countries like France, you have a lot of countries in North Africa that are building up the foundation of that AI workforce, which is a huge kind of driver of how these industries are developing and the people and the voices that are behind them. But and kind of complementary to that, we also see Turkey as the fourth largest source of talent within Europe in general in the AI labor force. So almost 4% in Estonia, 2.6% in Germany. And so what this means is there are dynamics of, brain drain and how do you attract and retain some of the talent that's being grown in many of these countries, but that actually is able to leave and negotiate greater talent mobility. And that's not just limited to southern Mediterranean countries. We're actually seeing this in the northern Mediterranean countries as well. So Italy, Spain, Portugal, we're seeing these countries actually mobility challenges as they move into northern European countries, the UK or the US. We did a research paper actually specifically examining Italy because we are a European think tank. And you can even see there's regional divides. So the closer you are to the Mediterranean, there's actually a lower concentration of AI talent. So all that talent is moving up even within a national context. And that really limits a kind of international competitiveness. If you have a largely domestic AI talent pool, it means that it's harder to attract international talent. There's less of an infrastructure for that. And it's harder for people who are international to kind of make themselves at home and feel comfortable within communities or have networks within new cities, which I know many of us have moved countries or lived in different places, and it's not easy to navigate a new bureaucracy, especially if you don't speak the language. So these are all things we have to keep in mind. And so I really want to be fast because I know that there's the group session and that's very exciting. So I think these are just a few of my main takeaways, that these are countries that are becoming significant drivers of global talent across different regions, across Europe, the US, the Gulf states. But brain drain is really a central challenge that they'll have to address in order to remain kind of competitive at an international level. We'll also need to see some of these sector-specific AI literacy programs to define what skills are actually useful for which people and at what timeline. And we have to balance training with creating different retention incentives to make sure that the talent doesn't just chase opportunities in other countries, but is actually there to help develop some of the Mediterranean capacity within those countries. And with that, I thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for your presentation. It's very interesting. And now, Mohammed, I think we are going to go fast for the breakout room.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for all the technical thing, but I think it's good so far. So thank you, Fatin. Thank you, Catherine, Mena, and Khaled for all the amazing presentation. So I think for the remaining almost 50 minutes, I think we can dedicate it to the breakout rooms so we can conclude by then. So I know that you guys have plans, I think, to do. So I would let me work on the breakout rooms. 1 minute. You should okay. You will have an option shown to you to choose which breakout room. You have 3 rooms: data, compute, and talent. I would invite moderators to go to their you know to their specified room. So you can choose. If there's an issue, just let me know. Okay, I can see people are going.
Sorry, can we choose, or are you going to teleport us to the right
No,
rooms?
you should have like a window with 3 options: data, talent, and compute.
I don't have that window. Anyone have it?
You okay? Let me. Which one do you want, Soraya? I can move you.
So there's talent, compute, and what?
Data.
Data. Talent, please.
Okay. Okay. I see that a lot of people go into talent. Okay. See, Khalid, you should let me, Khalid, let me move you to compute. Okay. And Sarah to data. Okay. I will move people, okay? Just so you guys can have okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible? Hello? Can you hear me, guys? Hello, can you hear me? Is the meeting ended or I don't know what's happening?
I see the others are not here yet.
We were the first.
We were desperate to come back.
Sylvia, do you train people who are generally from the industry, or what type of background do your
Yeah, so me personally, I started by training diplomats. So I am not a facilitator myself. I'm more, like a instructional designer slash project manager from my side. So I have moved from the field of multilateral diplomacy to the field of AI literacy. So yeah, I really, I think, like I was saying, even in my presentation, I think it's one of the most important fields now for capacity building. So I was very interested in working within this sphere. And yeah, we really now work with any audience, not just industry or member states, but like really everyone, even young people, children.
Yeah, I do the same. I do the same as well.
Yeah.
It's across the board. I have developed. It would be good to see exactly how you do it because I've developed like three critical AI literacy packages. One of them is a responsible AI. One of them is technical. One is less technical, and one is for kids in secondary schools. But yeah, it will be good to see what you do, and I'm sure there is a lot of
We'll
synergy.
definitely talk. We'll
Yeah,
definitely talk.
we'll definitely talk. Are we? Oh, sorry, Mo. I didn't realize we overtaken the discussion. Are we all back?
Yeah, it's funny because although you finished the discussion in your room, you keep
We could
you
not
keep you
stop because
keep
we're doing the same
yeah.
thing.
Women issues.
Wow, I appreciate this energy. Although it's the end of the day, so wow. So kudos to you, everyone. Huh? Uh, I think we all back here. It should be, yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much for your input, for this discussion. I would love to have it. I think it would be way different than having this in person with this, diverse profile we have in this event. I'm really happy for this how it went, and I saw all your input in the document. I know it's not enough for to get all your ideas um, and input and insight on the three topics. This is just the, I would say, first interaction about this topic. We have the documents. I will coordinate with the role facilitator to get all the input. But feel free. You have our emails, our LinkedIn. If you have any additional input or ideas, please do share with us all those you have. We will try to group all of these by next week and send it to DG for the as a proposal of all of us, the participant of this event. This is one. The second thing, we'll see with our network members to publish this as well in our social media. Feel free to reach out on any future action or your research. If you are doing your research in our region, you need any support from our side, feel free. And if you have also any opportunities, please do share. Thank you, everyone. I know we are 90 minutes more than what's planned. So thank you, everyone. Unless there is anything from all of you want to say anything, let's shortly 10 seconds, then we should be concluding. Anyone?
Thank you.
Oh,
Last
thank you
call?
so much. We thought we are reporting to the group, but that's fine. If you use the inputs from the shared document, I think that would be good. But also because the richness of the discussion was like amazing, at least in our breakout room. So I guess if whatever we put on the shared document doesn't really make sense, just get back to us, and I'm sure Sylvia, myself, Nina,
Surely,
and
sure.
Patton will definitely make it more digestible for you. But there's definitely room for so many projects to be at least explored. Yes.
I mean, Soraya, thanks for this. You have the link, so let's give ourselves some times before next week, by today, Thursday, by this weekend, if you have any additional. Otherwise, like I
Okay,
said,
so
I
we'll
will
keep
reach out to the.
populating. Yeah, we'll keep populating, but then also I was wondering whether when you write that report or whatever, whether you would be able to share it with us for some sort of comment.
Of
I know
course.
this will delay the whole process, but I think it's good to capture the different views, because there were so many views where we kind of literally agreed, but also there were like we were coming to the problem, to the aspect, not the problem, from different lenses and perspectives, and it would be good if you capture that as well.
Of course, we will share this with you. It's a participatory document. Yes, maybe my idea is not aligned with, for example, yours, but one of our ideas will be aligned with some of the, I don't know, donors, partners, organizations. So this is a collective, I would say, work that represent all of, not necessarily we agree on everything. Okay, so it's participatory. It might have some thing that's aligned, but I think the idea is this is a product that is it is done collaboratively. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you,
Soraya,
everyone.
Silva,
Thank you so much.
Khalid, Fatin,
Thank you so
Linda,
much for you all.
Thank
and all
you.
of the other
Thank you.
participants. Sarah, thank you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your
for the
Have a good
rest of
evening.
your life.
opportunity.
Enjoy the rest of the
Bye.
evening, and we'll stay in
Bye-bye.
touch. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.